What's up everybody, welcome to Top 10 Character Moments. Today we're breaking down my list for the top 10 best moments of the legend that is known as Korra. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, go over to my other YouTube channel called Sector for Nerds, link in the description below, and subscribe there as well. Thank you guys so much for your support. When it comes to Avatar The Last Airbender versus The Legend of Korra, I do think The Last Airbender is better. However, that doesn't mean Korra isn't good. Seasons 1 and 4 I absolutely adored. In my opinion, it's on par with some of the best stories in the Avatar universe. I will admit that I didn't like Season 2 that much, and Season 3 was okay. It had its moments. Regardless, my point is it's okay to like both shows. Also, fun fact, I binged The Legend of Korra in less than a week first time I watched it. It was the year 2020, so I feel like that already puts things into perspective. I ended up going to a friend's wedding, and per agreement with my family, I would be quarantined in my room for 2 weeks after I got back. So what do you do for 2 weeks? Well, first I watched Scott Lang's video on his time in quarantine. Hello World, here's a song that we're singing. And then I finished watching through The Last Airbender and I'm like, you know what? Might as well watch through this Korra show as well, if that's part of the lore. And so that's what I did. Alright you guys, without further ado, let's get into a few honorable mentions before cracking the top 10, shall we? First up, bending while in cuffs, hands and feet. And she was up against Zahir, who was such a powerful adversary. She didn't beat him here, but just that moment of hope for our hero was enough to give it a mention. Next up, learning airbending through pro bending. Everyone learns different. Tenzin tries to get her to learn his way, but it just doesn't work for Korra. But once she defies him and goes to play pro bending with her new friends, Mako and Bolin, she's put in a moment where in order to survive, she has to be able to move like an airbender. And it worked. Next up, driving a car with Asami. Korra may be the Avatar, but she didn't know how to drive a car all that well. But she had a great teacher to help her. This was a nice moment between the two characters because like Korra said, she never had a friend who's a girl before, except Naga. Good stuff. And finally, admitting to being afraid. This came after falling into Amon's trap. He could have easily taken her bending away right there and then, but it wasn't the right time. Republic City would have only made her a martyr, so he leaves her be. And that moment when Tenzin finds her, she just lets it all out. She says she never felt this way before and she doesn't know what to do. And Tenzin said it best, admitting your fears is the first step to overcoming them. Tenzin's a great character in his own right. Alright you guys, let's get into the top 10 list itself. You guys ready? Here we go. At number 10, escaping Tarlok and Amon. Two very powerful mother truckers, you know what I'm saying? And one of them is a bloodbender. Give the assist to Naga for finding her. Good girl. At number 9, connecting with her spiritual self / getting her bending back. While Korra was able to beat Amon, the damage was done. All of her bending powers, with the exception of air, were taken away. And while all hope seemed lost, a familiar face came to help, that being the spirit of Avatar Aang. It is through Aang's help that Korra gets her bending back, and then she confesses her love to Mako. Everything went from down to up in the blink of an eye for Korra right here. At number 8, meeting Iroh. Oh, this was fun. I was so happy when I saw Iroh appear in The Legend of Korra, and I loved the idea of him helping Korra. He helped a former Avatar in the past, so why not help another? It's through Iroh's wisdom that helps Korra move forward with her mission, and to not be afraid. At number 7, connecting with Rava. Now I know I said earlier that I didn't like Book 2 of The Legend of Korra, and I stand by that. However, the whole becoming one with Rava thing I thought was an interesting concept. There was 1 or 2 episodes in this season that gave us crazy lore when it comes to the Avatar universe, pretty much gave us like the origins of the Avatar, so in that regard, good stuff. In the end, the two are able to become one and defeat Vatu, who's like Rava's arch nemesis. She's the angel, he's the demon. At number 6, metal bending for the first time. I would say that's a pretty big deal. An Avatar learning a sub-bending ability, like how Aang was able to redirect lightning. Well done, Korra. At number 5, being trained by Toph. This is one of the reasons I enjoyed The Legend of Korra Book 4 so much. Korra's arc throughout this season was incredible. I loved her pretty much having to rediscover herself, and a big reason why she was able to do that is because of Toph. Korra asks, why did you disconnect from the world? And Toph is like, bruh, I'm much more connected to the world now than you've ever been. You're blind compared to me. You've been disconnected not only from yourself, but the people that love you. It's through that motivation, along with the motivation to stop Kuvira from taking over the Earth Kingdom, that helps Korra remove the poison from her body and be able to use the Avatar state once again. At number 4, confronting Zahir/moving on. Let me just start by saying this. That battle between Korra and Zahir at the end of Book 3 had me so scared for Korra. Not only is Zahir one of the most powerful people she's gone up against, but there was a poison stuck in her body that weakened her powers, and it was meant to kill the Avatar state. I sat there pretty much holding my breath first time around. And even in the end, the only reason Zahir was defeated had little to do with Korra, but everything to do with the Airbenders. But even though Zahir was defeated, the damage was done. This single event took Korra out of action for several years and pretty much had to restart from the ground up. After getting the poison out of her body with the help of Toph, Korra goes to confront Zahir in prison. At first, I worried this would only make things worse, but on the contrary, Korra was able to move on that day, and it looked like Zahir was trying to help her move on, probably because he wasn't a fan of Kuvira taking over the world, but that's aside from the point. This was the moment where you really felt like, okay, the Avatar is back at full strength and ready to take on anyone. At number 3, taking a vacation to the spirit world with Asami. This was something that was teased at the end of Book 4, and shown in the comics. When they held hands at the end of that finale episode, I was like, okay. And then when they turned and stared at each other, I was like, okay, didn't see that one coming. But when you go back and watch through Book 4, it does make sense why Asami would have been the only one that Korra wrote back to. There's also that scene later on where Asami brings Korra tea and asks her if she's okay. Anyway, them together in the spirit world was such a wholesome moment. The two finally expressed their feelings to one another, and of course, the kiss. At number 2, learning airbending/defeating Amon. After Amon takes Korra's bending away, she must rely on that one style of bending she hasn't even learned yet, airbending. Once she saw that Amon was about to take Mako's firebending away, it was like something inside her woke up and was able to use that ability. She was even able to counter Amon's blood bending. This was definitely one of Korra's most impressive fights for sure. Well done, Korra. And finally, at number 1, for my favorite Korra moment, defeating Kuvira/saving her life. After everything Korra went through in Book 4, even getting defeated by Kuvira once before, it all led to this battle where she finally is able to defeat her. And then she had to save Kuvira from her own weapon that she lost control of. Even after all the horrible things Kuvira had done, the Avatar wasn't going to let her die. Korra had a heart-to-heart chat with her as well. She really is a good Avatar. So there you have it, guys. That's my list for the top 10 best Avatar Korra moments. Next week, I'll be giving you guys my list for the 10 best moments of everyone's favorite Chiss, Grand Admiral Thrawn. Thank you all for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week.